Introduce you all to somebody. This handsome feller that you see here over my shoulder, that is my grandpa. He passed away 9 years ago on the exact same day that my second son was born. He lived just long enough to hear that he officially had a second great grandson and that his granddaughter was healthy. The photograph that he's holding is of him on the USS Alabama. He's giving a salute, the ship aboard which he served during World War II. He was a gunner aboard that ship, and he was made deaf from it too. It was through this amazing man that I had my very first experience with government-run health care known as VA, Veterans Affairs. My grandfather, see, he had to have a portion of his lung removed due to cancer, and some of it was exacerbated, said doctors, by his exposure to an extreme amount of radiation, something we had no idea about, any of it, until right before surgery. And doctors asked us because they just couldn't figure it out. As it turned out, Grandpa was actually within fallout range from the atom bomb, which ended the war and brought him home. At their best, hospitals aren't necessarily the happiest places on earth. It's where you go to get fixed. At their worst, well, that's kind of what I experienced at the VA. Veterans in wheelchairs in the hallways, bedridden veterans who needed to be moved, who needed water, pain medication. My family pulled a 24/7 vigil for like 2 months that my grandfather, who was a poor farmer from the Ozarks, was in the VA. One night, my mother just cracked. My grandpa was behind schedule for his pain meds. I know it's kind of important, right? The hospital was short-staffed. So she went to the nurse's station and she just asked if he could have his dosage of meds as he was in a considerable amount of pain. My mom was told that they would get to it momentarily. Well, momentarily came and went. In total, she went up to that nurse's station 3 times, and the third time, one of the nurses sighed and kind of rolled her eyes and gave a curt response. She said, "We told you we will be with you in a moment." And that was all that it took, and my mom verbally shredded the entire VA staff and delivered a fit, the likes of which Julius Sugarbaker would have applauded. Now, later on, my grandfather, he was also denied a hearing aid that he had been promised by the VA for 10 years because the VA told him that he was too old and that it wasn't cost effective. My grandpa finally did get his meds, and he also did get that hearing aid too, thanks to my family who got it for him, the hearing aid that is. And my family found themselves as advocates, not just for my grandpa, but for other vets that they met during his stay who didn't have the support system that my grandpa had. See, it was because of the VA that I never ever believed in government health care or single payer, even during my lost years as a Democrat, because I saw how it was. This other gentleman is David Moose MacArthur. He's from my hometown of St. Louis, and he was a star football player. He was scouted heavily. He was wanted by colleges with the plan that he was going to go pro. He was that good. He felt compelled, as Pat Tillman did, to serve our country first. Lance Corporal MacArthur was sent to Afghanistan, where he served in the most dangerous areas and saw heavy combat. He was blown up by a roadside bomb that left him with a traumatic brain injury, and it's made him shaky and irritable and unable to work a regular job. He has been fighting the VA for just basic benefits for over a year now. I could spend a week's worth of shows introducing you to American heroes who were sold out by their government. These men and these women, they signed a contract and they honored their part with their lives. Now, where is Uncle Sam to honor his? This week we learned that the VA scandal is even bigger, well, we knew it was big anyway, but it's even bigger than we even originally thought. 10 facilities, over 40 veterans have died waiting for basic care. 2 suicides in Virginia because they chose to end their lives rather than endure another day of pain and waiting. These are called death panels, America, and we've known about them since 2005. This president knew about them in 2008 when his transition team was informed, not once, not twice, but 3 times via an IG report and other means. He knew about him again in 2012 when he was notified yet again. His brilliant, quote, mad as hell response this week? Yeah, watch.
When I hear allegations of misconduct, any misconduct, whether it's allegations of VA staff covering up long wait times or cooking the books, I will not stand for it.
But you stood for it. He stood for it. He stood for it since 2008. He stood for it in 2010. He stood for it in 2012. This was his response. And then he said that he was going to issue another report to talk about all of the other reports. You know, a report to talk about the 2005 report and the 2010. I could go on. Everyone is commissioning reports and filing reports and making reports and reporting. Meanwhile, our veterans are dying one by one by one, waiting for someone to just get it together in Washington, D.C. I spoke with Lieutenant